Hi Math, I'm Andy. Today we're going to explore the exponents and powers of 1, 0, and negatives. Let's start by thinking about 3 to the third power. We know that an exponent tells us to multiply the base that many times, so 3 to the third power would represent 3 times 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9, and times 3 is 27. So 3 to the third power has a value of 27. Now I'm going to use my laws of exponents. I'm going to take 3 to the third power and I'm going to divide it by 3 to the first power, which is just 3. We know that we can take the exponents and subtract them. So this would be 3 to the third minus 1, which would end up as 3 to the second power. 3 minus 1 is 2. Now, I'm going to take the middle, 3 times 3 times 3, and I'm going to divide that by 3. The 3 on top would cancel out with the 3 on bottom, and it would leave me with just 2 3's in the numerator. And that's also the value of 3 squared, 3 times 3. I'm going to take 27 and I'm going to divide it by 3. And we know that 27 divided by 3 has a value of 9, which is the value of 3 times 3, also 3 to the second power. Now let's do the same thing. I'm going to take 3 to the second power and I'm going to divide it by 3 to the first power. Because we have the same base and different exponents, we can say that this is a subtraction of the powers. 2 minus 1 is 1. So 3 squared divided by 3 to the first is equal to 3 to the first. I'm going to do the same thing in the middle. I'm going to divide this by a 3. Now 1 3 on top cancels with 1 3 on the bottom, leaving me with just a 3 in the numerator, which is what 3 to the first power is. I'm going to take this side and I'm going to divide it by 3. 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3, which is the value of 3, which is the value of 3 to the first. Now let's continue this dividing concept. Let's take 3 to the first power and let's divide it by 3 to the first power. Now knowing what we know about powers, this is going to be 3 to the first 1 minus 1, as my law states. Now 1 minus 1 is 0, 3 to the 0 power. Let's go to the middle. Let's divide the middle by 3, just like we've done before. 3 divided by 3 has a value of 1. Now let's divide this by 3, just like we've done above. 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. So this must state that 3 to the 0 power is equal to 1. And that actually follows our rule that says any number raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. Just like this states our rule, any number raised to the first power is itself. Now let's continue this a couple of more times. Just as we did before, I'm going to divide by 3 to the first power. Now using our division rule, this is 3, because the bases are the same, to the 0 minus 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So I have a 3 to a negative exponent. Now I'm going to divide, just like I've done before, the middle by 3. Well, 1 divided by 3, because it is irrational, meaning it repeats forever, I'm just going to write it as the fraction 1/3. Now let's go over here. We'll divide this by 3. 1 divided by 3 is also equal to 1/3. So 3 to the negative 1 power is equal to 1/3. And this works for any number. Any number raised to a negative 1 exponent is equal to 1 over that exponent. So we've seen what happens with a power of 1, 0, and negative 1. Let's take this one step deeper. Let's do it again. I'm going to divide by 3 to the first power. Following the same rule, we would have 3 to the negative 1 minus 1. This is 3 to the negative 2 power. Negative 1 take away 1 is negative 2. I'm going to divide 1/3 by 3. But dividing fractions can be tricky, so instead I will multiply by 1/3. So this is really 1/3 divided by 3 is the same as 1/3 multiplied by 1/3. That gives me a value of 1/9. Now the same thing, divide this by 3. This is the same. This will be 1/3 times 1/3. I end up with 1/9. So this says 3 to the negative 2 power is equal to 1/9. And this is very interesting because we know that 9 is the same as 3 to the second power. So I can say that 3 to the negative 2 power is the same as 1/3 to the positive 2 power. So in relation with our negative exponent rule here, what you can do is if there is a negative exponent, think of this as a positive exponent in the denominator.